In addition to the traditional way we showed in previous session, like int I equals to 0 until I less than something something, there is a new simplified array processing. So the way it will work is like you have the array and you define the element itself. This is general format. So here you are defining an integer array of numbers. Then you are getting an integer of value from this number and runs through this one at a time. Now, you can access this one by one in the whole for loop. You are going to, I think this should be a lowercase 4. 3, 6, 9. The first loop, the val variable will be 3. Then the val variable will be 6. Then the val variable will be 9. So you are literally, instead of your subscript, you are going through each element of this array. The only problem with this is because you are getting the val variable from the array instead of operating directly on array elements. So it is read-only. You can only use the value inside your loop. And you cannot write back to arrays. For this reason, it is used less frequently in Java introduction, but it is useful when you are using an object. We will not use this for loop because the traditional way of going through 0, 1 to from I equals to 0 all the way to 1 less than array length, this traditional approach will provide you with a better insight on the operation of array. So during our course, we will only use the traditional way. We will not use this enhanced for loop, but it is widely used, especially in the object processing part. When you have an object array and you need to process one by one, this is very commonly used. But not in our course because we are more focusing on how array elements are processed. In that case, a subscript approach will provide you better insight. Now, array itself is an object. So it follows all the rules of object operation. An array variable is a reference. Remember this, array name is not a variable itself. Well, it's not a element itself. It's just a reference. It can also be assigned to another array of the same type, like integer array numbers. We will create a new 10-element array. Then later on, we can assign a new integer 5 array to this variable. In this case, remember we said array is immutable, but not here. This is the array. And this array is not changed, is immutable. You cannot change it. You cannot change it to integer 5. But what you can do is you can create a new array and assign this to the variable. So the variable itself is mutable, but array is immutable. Array size is immutable. If the first 10-element array no longer has a reference to it, it will be destroyed, which is called garbage collected. So a quick example is you are creating a new array of 10 elements, right, in the first statement. Later on, you are creating an array of 5 elements, and you are pointing address to this array. This array gets marked for garbage collection, meaning Java virtual machine will later destroy that and reclaim the memory space at its earliest convenience. So remember here, array variable is a reference pointing to an array object. This is not the way to copy an array. You are doing the array 2 equals to array 1. You are not copying it. You are actually pointing the reference to the same object all because there's only one new object creation. So in our same array Java, we utilize this code, and once we change 0, array 1 0 to 200, and we change the fourth element of array 2 to 1000, you can see both changed. Both array changed because they are pointing to, by assigning this, you are assigning the reference, and they are pointing to the same object. And by the way, when we say array is immutable, we mean the array's length is immutable. You cannot change the length. You cannot remove element or add element to it, but you can change the value of the element. The value of the element is mutable. So since that we cannot use this way to copy an array, we have to create a new integer, a new array in order to copy. Then we will copy element by element. You cannot copy an array by merely assigning one reference variable to another, because its reference is pointing to the same thing, same object. You need to copy the individual element. You need to create a new object and create individual element one by one from one array object to another. The following code copies each element of first array to the corresponding element of second array. And also, so we can pass array element the same way as other variables. We can pass array elements the same way as other variables. When a single element of an array is passed to a method, it's handled like other variables. Let's take a look at a passing element. So it's as simple as that. You are passing this with an array name and the subscript as one variable, passing this the same way as any other single value variables. More often, we want to write method to process array data, but passing the entire array though. In that case, array is object, so it follows the same rule as array as object. Their reference can be passed to method like any other object reference. And here, remember, because each element is immutable, so you change the element, your change of element will reflect it in the caller method. So you can pass the reference of address to this show array. If you change the variable, if you change the array element in this show array method, then when it's returned in the caller, you will notice that this is actually changed. This element is changed too, within that caller too.